Thank you all for being here. Apologize for starting a little bit late. Shortly after the release of an audio recording this past Saturday morning of a conversation that allegedly included Clippers owner Donald Sterling, the NBA commenced an investigation, which among other things included an interview of Mr. Sterling. That investigation is now complete. The central findings of the investigation are that the man whose voice is heard on the recording and on a second recording from the same conversation that was released on Sunday is Mr. Sterling, and that the hateful opinions voiced by that man are those of Mr. Sterling. The views expressed by Mr. Sterling are deeply offensive and harmful. That they came from an NBA owner only heightens the damage and my personal outrage. Sentiments of this kind are contrary to the principles of inclusion and respect that form the foundation of our diverse, multicultural, and multi-ethnic league. I am personally distraught that the views expressed by Mr. Sterling came from within an institution that has historically taken such a leadership role in matters of race relations and caused current and former players, coaches, fans, and partners of the NBA to question their very association with the league. To them, and pioneers of the game like Earl Lloyd, Chuck Cooper, Sweetwater Clifton, the great Bill Russell, and particularly Magic Johnson, I apologize. Accordingly, effective immediately, I am banning Mr. Sterling for life from any association with the Clippers organization or the NBA. Mr. Sterling may not attend any NBA games or practices. He may not be present at any Clippers facility, and he may not participate in any business or player personnel decisions involving the team. He will also be barred from attending NBA Board of Governors meetings or participating in any other league activity. I am also fining Mr. Sterling $2.5 million, the maximum amount allowed under the NBA Constitution. These funds will be donated to organizations dedicated to anti-discrimination and tolerance efforts that will be jointly selected by the NBA and its Players Association. As for Mr. Sterling's ownership interest in the Clippers, I will urge the Board of Governors to exercise its authority to force a sale of the team, and will do everything in my power to ensure that that happens. This has been a painful moment for all members of the NBA family. I appreciate the support and understanding of our players during this process, and I am particularly grateful for the leadership shown by Coach Doc Rivers, Union President Chris Paul, and Mayor Kevin Johnson of Sacramento, who has been acting as the players' representative in this matter. We stand together in condemning Mr. Sterling's views. They simply have no place in the NBA. Thank you, and I'll take any questions.
We'll take questions now. Start with Scott in the back right.
Adam Scott Sosh, Nick Bloomberg. Do you or any of your emissaries have any clue as to whether Mr. Sterling will acquiesce to your wishes to sell the team, or do you expect a fight?
I have no idea.
Take the next question right here, Rachel.
From polling the owners that you've spoken to, what support do you think you have to force Mr. Sterling to sell the team?
I didn't poll the owners. I spoke to several owners, and I have their full support.
On the right, Brian.
Adam Bryan, Mahoney from the Associated Press. What kind of authority do they have to force a sale?
The owners have the authority, subject to 3/4 vote of the ownership groups of the partners, to remove him as an owner.
Fifth row in the middle.
Hi, I'm Lisa Guerrero with Inside Edition. The word you used specifically was outrage. You said that you were personally outraged. Yet many people believe that they are outraged that for years people have known that this man is a racist slumlord and the NBA hasn't done anything until today. Can you please answer why?
I can't speak to past actions other than to say that when specific evidence was brought to the NBA, we acted.
Okay. Over here, second row on the left.
Jovian with Fox News, The Kelly File. Should someone lose their team for remarks shared in private? Is this a slippery slope?
Whether or not these remarks were initially shared in private, they are now public, and they represent his views. The process will begin immediately. We will most likely use a standing committee of the NBA. The equivalent of our executive committee is our advisory finance committee. I've had several discussions with Glenn Taylor, who is our chairman of the board and also the leader of the advisory finance committee, and we will begin that process immediately.
Third row on the end, Howard.
Howard back with Bleacher Report. Adam, in your conversations with Sterling, did he own up to this immediately? Was it only after you guys had come up with some sort of proof? And what, if anything, has he expressed approaching remorse, regret, anything? What's his sentiment at this point?
Mr. Sterling acknowledged it was his voice on the tape, and he has not expressed to me directly any other views.
Okay. We'll go right here, please.
Andrew Rosario, Arise TV Commissioner, right here. What message do you have for the Clippers and their fans and their fan base in terms of moving forward from this point on?
My message to the Clippers fans is this league is far bigger than any one owner, any one coach, any one player. This institution has been around for a long time, and it will stand for a long time. And I have complete confidence in Doc Rivers, in the basketball management of that club, and the players deserve their support. They've just been through an incredibly difficult incident in their lives.
On your left, Harvey, over against the wall, Adam.
Adam, Harvey Araton, New York Times. Was the punishment designed, in effect, to get the message across to Mr. Sterling that there's no point in him, there's no advantages, and nothing to be gained from him continuing his ownership? And also, in determining what the punishment would be, including the suggestion to the Board of Governors, did you take into account Mr. Sterling's past behavior, or was it just based on this one particular incident?
In meting out this punishment, we did not take into account his past behavior. When the board ultimately considers his overall fitness to be an owner in the NBA, they will take into account a lifetime of behavior.
Fifth row in the middle, Ken.
Ken Berger from CBSSports.com. Adam, could you just explain or lay out for us what specific power in the Constitution and bylaws you exercise with your ban, and what specific, was it a broad violation or a specific violation? And with respect to the forced sale, what specific section of the Constitution covers that, and is that a broad violation or a specific one?
Ken, I'll let the lawyers lay out for you the specific provisions of our Constitution. Let's just leave it. We have the authority to act as I've recommended.
Eighth row in the back, please.
Commissioner Stephanie Stepp from Harlem Community Radio. Is the NBA considering more African-American ownership at this point?
Sorry, where am I looking?
Eighth row in the back in the middle.
I'm sorry. Sorry, could you repeat the question?
Sure. Stephanie Stepp from Harlem Community Radio. Is the NBA considering more African-American ownership at this point?
We're always open to ownership from people of all races, nationalities, ethnicities. As you know, we have an African-American primary owner in the league right now. Shaquille O'Neal just became a small owner of the Sacramento Kings. David Robinson is an owner of the San Antonio Spurs. Vivek Ranadive, a person of color, born in Mumbai, India, just became the primary owner of the Sacramento Kings. So I believe we have a very diverse league, but I'd always like to see it become even more diverse.
What about Magic Johnson? Is that an option at this point?
Magic Johnson knows he's always welcome as an owner in this league. He's been a part owner in the past of the Los Angeles Lakers, and he's always welcome and a close friend of the NBA family.
Thank you.
On your left, Adam, over.
Maggie Gray from SI.com. Did you talk to any of the players before you came to this decision? And what about Clippers players? If they do not want to play for a team owned by Donald Sterling anymore, do they have any recourse?
I talked to several players before rendering my decision. Coincidentally, I'd had a trip planned for this weekend. I was in Memphis for a game, I was in Oakland, and then I was in Portland Sunday night for games. I had a chance to talk directly to Chris Paul. I spoke to other members of the team. I spoke extensively to Doc Rivers. And as I said, Kevin Johnson has been representing the players' interests, and he and I have been talking multiple times a day. So I believe the players will be satisfied with the decision and the renderings that we've made today. If a player in the future doesn't want to play for the Los Angeles Clippers and he's under contract, we'll deal with that when it happens. But that's not my sense of where we are right now.
Back on the left by the cameras.
Hi. Kelty Knight from The Insider. Will this situation cause you moving forward to put new rules in place for owners from the NBA?
I'm not sure. I mean, we're always willing to take a fresh look at our rules, our Constitution and bylaws, but I believe we have appropriate rules in place right now to cover a situation like this.
Second row on the left, Ian.
Adam, Ian O'Connor, ESPN New York. Just to be clear, you said when specific evidence was brought to the league, you did act. So in past cases, has Donald Sterling ever been fined or suspended for racial or offensive remarks? And if not, why not?
He's never been suspended or fined by the league because while there have been well-documented rumors and cases filed, he was sued and the plaintiff lost the lawsuit. That was Elgin Baylor. There was a case brought by the Department of Justice in which ultimately Donald Sterling settled and there was no finding of guilt. And those are the only cases that have been brought to our attention. And when those two litigations were brought, they were followed closely by the league office.
Just to follow to that, one of the greatest players of all time, Elgin Baylor, accused Donald Sterling of running a plantation-style franchise. Did that not concern you, and why was that not investigated? Despite the fact he lost the case, he has a prominent standing in the league, and he said some very serious things.
It concerned us greatly. We followed the litigation closely, and ultimately, Elgin Baylor did not prevail in that litigation.
Second row, right on the right side here.
Commissioner Silver, Brandon Robinson of the Source magazine. Obviously, CarMax and State Farm withdrew their sponsorship with the LA Clippers. As you, as the commissioner of the NBA, what would you tell other people who are maybe on the fence or people who have withdrawn to want to, in the future, invest in one of your franchises of the LA Clippers?
I would say that those marketing partners of the Clippers and partners of the entire NBA should judge us by our response to this incident. And I think we've responded appropriately, and I would be hopeful that they would return into their business relationships with the Clippers.
On the left, on the front, against the wall over there.
Great. Jason,
left?
Yeah, thank you. Jason Carroll with CNN. I'm wondering if you've spoken to Mr. Sterling about this ban or any of his representatives, and if so, what has Mr. Sterling's reaction been to the punishment?
I did not speak directly to his representatives about this ban. They were informed shortly before this press conference. I did not hear precisely what their reaction was.
Okay.
Robert Silverman from the Daily Beast. Have there been any decisions about whether the immediate members of Mr. Sterling's family, including Rochelle,